Welcome you all to this beautiful new presentation. And this week, there is something exciting that's coming up. And this particular call is like a 30-minute taster that I'm doing for it. And those of you who are watching on YouTube, this is a particular session that I kind of give live for the Unlimited Money Club Facebook group members. If you would like to join live on Zoom with me for the session, you can click the link below and join the group and then join me for the session. All right, so now I'm going to share my screen and we are getting started. Already, so beautiful title I feel for today. What came up this week was like, okay, and give me a second. This week it is how to make money work for you instead of you working for money. And this particular class is a 30 minutes taster of this. It is based on this particular book, which is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And interestingly, my relationship with this book has been for more than 10, 12 years now. This was the first ever financial book that I ever read out of school. And what happened after so interestingly, I read this book right after I finished my master's degree. So I was this person in India doing my bachelor's in mechanical engineering. And then I went to US for my master's in manufacturing engineering. And soon after that master's degree, I read this book. Until then, I was like, okay, I'm going to get this degree and I'm going to go do a job. Right after the master's degree, I read this book, and this book put my total point of view about the job and the business in a totally different world. Right after college, right after degree, I'm sitting and telling myself, I don't want to go to a job now. I will never ever go to a job. I'll never go to any company. I'm not going to work under anybody. I'm going to start a business. And imagine 23-year-old girl, I'm like, okay, I want to start a business. What do I do now? And from there onwards, my life has gone on an interesting ride. At 25, 26, I was, building six-figure business, which was an e-commerce business, by the way. But I think I should give credit to this book, which kind of made, until me completing my degree, I was going in one direction, and then all of a sudden it was like, no, we are in the wrong direction, let's go towards right. So that's what happened, and that's like one of the turning points, and I really, really love this book for that reason. All right, so that's my primer. And this particular call that I'm doing today, which is a 30-minute taster of the retreat that is coming up. So tomorrow and day after, Saturday, Sunday, I have a money consciousness retreat, which I usually offer only once a month. And I think last month I haven't done this, but from this month onwards, I'm continuing. And this particular retreat, each retreat, I kind of choose different kind of books and different ways how we do that. So this week, this month, it's going to be very, very unique. And it's going to start tomorrow. So those of you who wants to kind of join in for the retreat, you can contact me. The retreat is only going to be 111 USD. It's 2-day complete. It's like 8 hours. It's like 2 full days. But you also have recording if you're missing any portions of it. All right, so let's get into the stuff. The stuff is how to become rich. When did you ever ask this question for the first time in your life? Right? I hope all of you, all of us, at least at some point in time, we ask the question how to become rich. If you haven't ever asked that question so far, now might be the time for you to go ahead and ask that question. How do I actually become rich? Okay, so with that, towards the end of this particular call, you will have a financial answer for that question. So finding the answer to this question is this entire free taster class. But before we actually, if I have to answer you the question, how do I become rich? You need to answer me these questions first. You need to give me the answer for these questions. First is, what is a financial statement? Do you create your financial statement? What is your total asset worth at this point in time? What is your total liabilities? What is your monthly income, which I feel it's easy to answer? What is your total expense of the last month, right? So I hope now we have just completed 1 month, which is the March month. what would be the total sum, total amount of your total expense of last month, and what is your current net worth. If you are anything like me, I hope you do not have answers to any of those questions, or maybe some of those questions. For a very, very long time in my life, I had no clue about what a financial statement is, what assets actually mean, what this liability stuff is, what is my, total expense of the month. All of this is like, I feel in our educational system, we aren't taught to have answers to these questions, which is also interesting. And this book gives that huge light towards, or I should call it, financial literacy. What is missing from the curriculum of our education system is financial literacy. Without having the financial literacy, we complete the bachelor's degree, master's degree, the MBA degree, and so on and so forth. Anyways, this is how a financial statement would look like. So your financial statement is composed of your income statement. Income statement has two components. One is your income, which is, income includes all your income, not just your primary source of income. It could be your business, your job, your 401k, whatever kind of income, money coming to you. All of that, maybe you have given money as debt or as a loan to somebody else, and then you receive monthly payments for it. All of that comes in as your income. The second component in your income statement is your expenses. And expenses include everything for which you're spending money the entire month, right? So it includes all of your electricity, that bill, this bill, and then there is the monthly credit card bills that you might be paying. All of that comes under your expenses. And then the second part of the financial statement is your balance sheet. So your balance sheet consists of your assets and your liabilities. What are assets? Assets include, okay, in this particular book, Robert Kiyosaki has kind of given a little twist to the asset thing. We might believe that the house that we are living in, if we own it, then that is our asset. And then we also might think the vehicle that we own is my asset. But Robert has a totally different point of view about it, and we are going to look into that. But in general, assets composed of all the real estate you own, all the stocks, all the bonds, all the kind of other money making stuff that you own. Liabilities now, liabilities include all the loan, all the debt, all the credit card debt, all the mortgages. So all of that comes under the liabilities. And after I read this book, I started creating a financial statement for myself every single month. Towards the first of every month, I create my financial statement. And the reason for that is because my financial statement is my scorecard. And that's what the book says, your scorecard. Without a financial statement, you don't really know where you are in your life's financial game. Like it or not, money tells the score of your game, and a financial statement is your scorecard. So imagine this particular scorecard that you have for every month. You will be able to compare, last month I have this much expense, I have this much income, and this month looks like I have the exact same income, but my expenses is increased there. And there's nothing in my asset column, and my liabilities have increased this month. Interesting. What else is possible here? What else can I do here? So if we don't even have that scorecard, then coming back to our original question, how do I become rich? So what does rich truly mean to you? We will come back to that question. For now, hold on to all of your thoughts. Banks want financial statement. If you go to any bank and apply for a loan, for example, they would ask your financial statement. And they usually ask it in terms of your tax return, because your tax return usually has a financial statement in it. Your income statement and your balance sheet, to know how well you are scoring in your life's financial game. What do banks want to know? Usually bank is not asking for what degree you've completed, or all of those things that we think is important. Instead, they ask for your financial sheet, because your financial sheet is your scorecard. And by someone who's looking at your financial sheet would know, oh, this person has no assets, they have so many liabilities, they have less income, and their expenses is increasing every month. this is not a good candidate for me to give the loan because their scores are really low. So that's what a banker can look at your financial sheet and say. And most of us have not been taught how to create our financial statement, or we think that, oh, it's an accountant's job. Why am I supposed to sit and do all of these numbers? Interesting point of view that all of us are being taught in that kind of method. And now for the first time, when we look at the financial statement, and most of us, I feel, whenever I share this thing, people want to run away in all directions and they don't want to look at the numbers. If we don't even want to look at the numbers, how are we going to become rich, by the way? If we want to become rich, we need to have financial literacy. At least we need to know our financial scores. Okay, that's one of the points. Moving on. The first rule that the book describes, rule number one, you must know in order, if you want to become rich, by the way, rule number one, you must know the difference between an asset and a liability. And you need to buy assets, not liabilities. So now, what's the difference between an asset and liability? If you want to be rich, this is all you need to know. Interesting. Robert says, the author of the book, if you want to become rich, this is all you need to know. You need to know the difference between an asset and liability, and you need to buy assets. If that gives you the answer for your question, how do I become rich? It is rule number one. It is the only rule, and this may sound absurdly simple, but most people have no idea how profound this rule is. Most people struggle financially because they do not know the difference between an asset and liability. And Robert says, rich people acquire assets. The poor and the middle class acquire liabilities that they think are assets. And this is where the house thing comes. If you think your house is an asset, most of us have that kind of a point of view, which is obviously that is what we are even taught in our society, in our culture, in our education system. Oh, your house is your biggest asset. But Robert has a different point of view about it. And the point of view I feel is here. An asset, according to him, puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. So now my question to you is, if you own the house that you're living in, is the house putting money into your pocket maybe every month, every day, once a year? And if it is as normal as how we usually are, maybe you're not renting out any portion of your house. If that's the case, most likely your current house, even though you might own it, might not be putting money into your pocket every month or every year. In fact, Robert says your house is not actually an asset because it is not making you money every month, every year. Maybe in future, maybe once upon a time, or in future at some time, you might sell the house, and that's when it might make you money. But until then, this house thing is just in your name, but it is not actually making you money. It's not putting money into your pocket, which is also a reason why kind of they go into a lot of speculation about the asset and liability. What exactly is the difference between those two? Okay, in simple words, asset puts money into your pocket, liability takes money out of your pocket. Okay, so now we are going to discuss a little bit about cash flow pattern. And I hope all of you here would know what cash flow is. Cash flow, imagine it as flowing. Where is your cash flowing? So now looking at it from your financial statement perspective, this is the cash flow pattern of an asset. So now I'm going to use an example of, let's say you own a second house that you have rented, a simple example. So if that's the case, the second house that you have rented and that house is making you money every month comes under your asset category. So now in my asset, I have, let's say $100,000 worth of house. And let's say, just for example, this particular house is making me $1,000 per month, monthly rental income. If that's the case, look at the first picture here. That asset, that house is making me money, and therefore there is a cash flow from my asset column into my income column. I hope that's clear. Now, on your right is cash flow pattern of a liability. So how does cash flow for a liability? For your liabilities, now I'm going to take another example. Let's say I have a mortgage on my house that I'm living in. So that mortgage is my liability. And every month, now I'm going to assume there is $100,000 mortgage on my house that becomes my liability. And let's say monthly I'm paying $1,000 loan, right? The debt. So if that's the case, that money flow comes from, it goes from the liability and then it goes into expense. So that $1,000 becomes my expense. So that is the cash flow pattern of a liability, right? So what is the definition of asset that we learned in the last slide? I hope I can go back to the last slide. Yeah. Asset puts money into your pocket, liabilities takes money out of your pocket. So that's what you are seeing as images in this particular slide. Your asset gives you money and puts money into your income column. Your liability takes money out of your pocket, which means it is going into your expense column. That's the difference between asset and liability. Okay, so all of that is in one slide, but I just want you to focus now on the leftmost image. The cash flow pattern of a poor person, and this is one of those slides I love the most. Okay, so Robert says, now let's compare a poor person versus a middle class versus a rich person. And if you look at the scorecard of these three different people, this is how their scorecard or their financial statement would look like. So for a poor person, let's say most likely, let's say people who are earning maybe $500,000 a month, just enough to meet their expenses, meet their monthly bills. Most likely they don't have any debt. And I've seen this, multiple cases where people who are living very, very poor, they just make very minimal wage, and then that exactly goes out as expense for them. Maybe $500 a month, they would be paying that $500 in expense for the bills, and that's it. That's how their financial sheet looks like. So their cash flow is like from the income, it goes into the expense and then money goes out. $500 income, $500 expense. This is a recurring pattern month after month. Now, the interesting thing is the center image here, which is the middle class. And I feel a lot of us kind of fall into this particular, maybe 80% of the world would fall into this second image. And what happens here is we are all living, let's say, a comfortable life with a house, with a car, with, school loans, and maybe we have some credit card debt. And that's what you're seeing here in the liabilities in the center image. And what happens in our case? If you create your financial sheet, how would that look like? Money would come into your income column. Okay, money would come in through your income column, and then it goes into your liabilities, and you have the expense and the money goes out. What does that mean? Let's say you are making $3,000 per month income. And out of this $3,000 per month income, where is that income going every month? Most likely it is going for paying your bills, your electricity bill, water bill, phone bill, credit card, house loan, school loan, home loan, whatever else. So all of those are in your expenses. So you make $3,000 income, and then it goes into expense and it goes out. So all of your money is now going into paying back your liabilities, and some of it directly goes into expense, and that's it. So $3,000 income, $3,000 expense. Amazing. Now, compare that with a rich person's financial scorecard on your right now. So this cash flow pattern of a rich person, as you can see, the arrow mark here is absolutely reverse. This person is making money from his assets column. And now when I say a rich person, imagine a person who has 10 houses. He has 5 different businesses, you know, a restaurant business, that business, this business. All of this exists in his asset column, and he is producing money. So he is not working in a job. Instead, he is making money from his 5 businesses and 10 houses that he owns. So where does his money come from? His money is coming from his asset column, and let's say he's making $10,000 per month income. So all of those assets that he has is producing income. One business produces $1,000 profit, another house produces $500 per month monthly income. So all of that goes into his income. So that is how the cash flow of a rich person's financial sheet would look like. Okay, so cash flow tells the story of how a person handles money. Cash flow tells the story of how a person handles money. So, what we are talking here is not about how we are making money, but what we are talking about here is how we are spending money. So, if all the income that you're making is going into your expense column, if it is going into your liabilities column, how will we become rich? If we want to become rich, where should that money go into? Keep those questions. So, can money solve your problems? So, Robert says, I often hear I'm in debt, so I need to make more money. But more money will often not solve the problem. How many of you have noticed, let's say for the past 5 years, your income 5 years back would have been $1,000 a month, and then slowly it increased to $2,000 a month, and then slowly it increased to $3,000 a month? Just an example. If that's the case, if your income has been increasing, would you know net worth? Your net worth should also have been increasing, but the net worth is your assets subtracted with your liabilities. So that is your, so I'm not going into too complicated equations here. We will do that tomorrow during the retreat. But anyways, so here, what I'm talking about is if all those income, even when the income is increasing, you might have noticed that you are still in debt. The debt has also been maybe increasing in the past 5 years, meaning your liabilities column is increasing as your income increases. If that's the case, that is the pattern that is keeping us stuck in debt. If your income is increasing and if you want to become rich, that money from your income column should go into your asset column to create and produce assets, money making assets for you. Okay, if your pattern is to spend everything that you get, most likely an increase in cash will just result in an increase in spending. How do we change this pattern? I hope by now, all of you should have got that light bulb moment, which is, oh, all the income that I'm making is going into the liabilities column. How do I change the pattern and bring my income into the asset column? Okay. So here is a quick comparison that Robert has done in the book. I see there are a few comments. Thank you. Yes, not a problem. Thank you for your comments. All right, so quick slide here, which is talking about the, as you know, the book title is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And he, Robert, who is the author of the book, has one, let's say, a rich dad and one who was a poor dad. So when he takes the financial statement of these two people and he looks at it, now look at the image on your leftmost side, which is the income and expenses are equal. All the income that is coming in, $1,000 income, $1,000 expense, right? So income and expenses are equal. And when you look at the balance sheet below, which is the assets and liabilities, there is nothing much in the assets, but there is a huge liability. When you look at the rich dad's financial statement now, income is higher, expense is less, asset is more, liabilities is less. Do you see it's totally the reverse? And here is what Robert says about this. My poor dad's financial statement best demonstrates the life of someone caught in the rat race. So that's the word that Robert uses, which is rat race. And I see that almost 80% of the entire world, we are stuck in the rat race of trying hard to increase our income without having that financial awareness that regardless of my income increases, my expenses is increasing along with that. My assets is not increasing, my liabilities are increasing, then what's the whole point with me increasing my income? Okay, so that's what they call as rat race, being stuck in the rat race. His expenses match his income, never allowing him enough left over to invest in assets. It shows that his income and expenses are equal while his liabilities are larger than his assets. That's exactly what I already explained. Now, there is this interesting question. Why does the rich get richer? And there is that beautiful statement, right? Rich always gets richer. And why is it so? And here is the financial answer that Robert says. A review of my rich dad's financial sheet shows why the rich get richer. The asset column, right, in this particular case, you see that big asset column. The asset column generates more than enough income to cover the expenses, with the balance reinvested into the asset column. So if I have a $500,000 worth house, which is making me $5,000 monthly income, and my expenses is, let's say, less than that, $3,000 expense per month, I have additional $2,000 that I'm reinvesting and buying more houses and saving more, or whatever kind of assets that I'm buying. So that is a pattern in which I can get richer and richer and richer because my asset is increasing every month. What are assets? Assets generate me money. It makes me money. And every month, my money making capacity is increasing the more assets I have. And the last statement here, the asset column continues to grow and therefore the income it produces grows with it. The result is that rich is getting richer. I hope you got the answer for why the rich is getting richer. So now I feel we are end of this particular slide of this particular presentation. And I hope now you already have the answer, how to become rich. Anybody wants to put your answer on the chat box? What was the moral of the story that you learned in this presentation? How do you become rich? In one line, one statement. Wow, Mahasan, thank you so much. Absolutely. I hope all of you got that answer, which is increasing your assets. And if we do not even have that scorecard, the financial statement, if you're not looking at our financial statement month after month, we wouldn't even know that, oh, my money is going into liabilities or my money is wasted on these kind of expenses every month. I can take that money and put into my asset column. Unless you create that pattern consciously, we cannot override the pattern of being stuck in that middle class cash flow pattern, which is money going from income equal to expenses is our normal pattern. If we need to change this pattern, consciously we need to take steps. First of all, you need to know what is your scorecard, what is your financial score for last month. You should be able to have that answer. All right, so here is a quick summary of the answer. How do you become rich? Robert says, as I said, the most important rule is to know the difference between asset and liability. Once you understand the difference, concentrate your efforts on buying income generating assets. What are income generating assets? Anything that gives you consistent monthly income, whether it is $100 every month, $1,000 every month, whatever it is. Income generating assets. That's the best way to get started on the path to becoming rich. Keep doing that and your asset column will grow. Keep liabilities and expenses down so more money is available to continue pouring into the asset column. So maximum, if you have $3,000 income coming in, 1,500, maybe the 50% of it can go into your expenses, and the remaining 1,500 should go into your asset box to continue building and growing your wealth and assets. All right. So that's the kind of end of the story. And if you would like to hear the full story, you can come into my retreat. I'll just give you a quick summary of what happens in the retreat. As I said, it is a 2-day retreat. Both of these days, it's 8 hours, 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. Indian Standard Time. And what happens during the first day, what we will be doing is we will create your financial scorecard live during the class. So for tomorrow's specific class, you will come to the class having your bank statement. So you need to download. I wouldn't be seeing all of this. You will be doing it. On the other hand, I will be showing you demonstration of how you will be doing it, but you will be doing it live during the class. You will come to the class just with you need to download your bank statement of the last month, of March month. You just need that information, and then everything else we will be creating during the class. And first 2 sessions of the class, the first 4 hours of the class, we will be creating your financial statement. You will have what total income, expense, asset, liability. We will be creating that on an Excel sheet. And once we have that, we will study those numbers. We will see, okay, what are these numbers? Is your income equal to expenses? Where is those additional expenses that is going that is not even in your conscious awareness? And what can be reduced there? And how can you start building assets? So that is what we will be analyzing. We will be preparing your financial sheet live on class, and then I will be analyzing it. I will be giving you what you can do in order to start building this asset column. And we will create a kind of a plan for the next month. This usually happens once a month, as I said. So towards in your April month, what goals you can set, what targets you can have, how you can start building that asset side of the section. And then the second part of the retreat, I will be doing the presentation of this entire book, which consists of all the details we need in order to start building those assets, the information that you need, the financial literacy that you need in order to start building this. So that's how the retreat happens. It's really hands-on kind of a retreat. So you might have to come in with everything prepared and being ready to do what needs to be done. All right, that's a quick summary. If you have any questions about the retreat, you can ask to me now. That's the end of the presentation. I hope you loved it. Any questions, you can also unmute yourself and ask your questions. Will there be, Anju asks, will there be another same retreat? I do this only once a month since it's a 2-day thing. So I might be doing it again towards the first week of the next month, the May month. So for the April month, it's happening this weekend. Thank you, Anju. All right, and we will also have different energy pulls and different access consciousness clearings that we will be doing, and it is like a facilitation. But the book that we are using this time is the Rich Dad Poor Dad. All right, my dear beautiful beings, if you don't have any other questions, you have, Harish?
No questions. This is what we teach every day in the class.
Beautiful.
Assets, liabilities, balance sheet.
Wow, wow, wow. Beautiful. Thank you so much. All right, so I'm going to see you all next time. Thank you so much. I hope you got some valuable insights to this presentation. See you all next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anju. Bye-bye.
Thank you.